and welcome to Squid Pro Quo, a Squid Game podcast where there are only 3 rules. 1, a player is not allowed to stop podcasting. 2, a player who refuses to podcast will be eliminated. And 3, the podcast will be terminated if the majority agrees. I'm Sean.
And I'm Mike, and we are the Squid Boys.
Squid Boys!
Squid Boys.
For life.
Ganbu for life. Even if the show gets bad, we will still be Ganbu for life.
That's true. That's true.
It's very true. Episode 5. Sean, last episode, which we, full disclosure, finished recording moments ago.
Yeah.
You seemed pretty sour on Squid Game. Has anything changed in these 5 minutes?
Actually, I'm now in love with the show. I think season 3 is the best season of the show yet. There is not Ted Sarandos standing in the corner of my room with a gun pointed at me. That is not happening.
Speaking of Netflix, I actually have a tangent for you.
Yeah, okay.
So Tara and I originally watched a lot of House of Cards, which was like the first big Netflix like prestige television show, right?
Yeah.
And we never finished it. We got to a point, it was before the Kevin Spacey scandal.
Yeah.
And that's not why we didn't finish it. We just didn't, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. And for some reason, she wanted to like watch it again because we liked the show a lot. And I was like, okay, so we watched it. And I forgot at the end of season 2, he like does his like knock thing with his ring on his hand when he becomes the president. In that show, like on the White House desk.
Yeah.
And that, I didn't realize that noise is in the Netflix noise.
Oh, I didn't realize that either. I did not.
Because that was like their first big hit. His like knock, it's the beginning noise of the Netflix noise that plays every time you boot up Netflix, and still is.
That's crazy.
I just thought that was pretty interesting, because I was like, you think they would like, after everything that happened with him, like not do that, but they kept the noise.
I found a review on IMDb of this episode that the title I just want to read to you really quick.
Is it Edvis?
And no, it's not, unfortunately. I was kind of looking, I was like, I wonder if Edvis is here, The title of the review is, "They really tried, but they shouldn't have tried."
Oh man. So the name of this episode is Circle, Triangle, Square.
Yep.
Kind of hard to say that episode. And I'll just start diving into the recaps, and then
Let's do it.
Because we haven't been doing a good job of that in season 3. We start with our guard scaling the cliff, and she shoots out a fan. And I already have a question for you, Sean.
Yeah.
For a island compound that's technically advanced, they don't have a camera or a motion sensor on the inside of their fan kind of thing.
Mike, we're way past that.
Are we?
There's a baby in the games. We're way past.
Speaking of the baby, Gihan returns to the baby after his meeting with the front man, and then turns to the evil men sleeping across the room from him. And we get an interestingly shot moment here where Gihan is wrestling with the idea of killing these people, crossed over with Inho, the front man, doing the same thing.
Yes.
Or doing it actually when he was in the games and being pushed to do it by the old man who was in charge of the games previously. We don't know the full context of why he asked him to do that. But
that would be too interesting.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting, and maybe we'll get that in the next episode. But they show that he went through with it and slit the throats of all his competitors. Gihan does not, because at the moment of him going to kill number 100, he sees Saibyok from season 1.
Good
cameo here. She's in the same position she was in when she was stabbed to death.
Mm-hmm.
and she says, "Hey, you're not this kind of person. Don't do this."
And I actually didn't make the connection that what is being asked of him here is essentially what his friend did to Sae-byeok.
Yeah.
That like, after the dinner, stabbing her and killing her to make the next game easier.
Yeah, it wasn't as bluntly said to him, but he kept the knife from his dinner, right?
And what he did was wrong, and Gihan maybe should kill these people. Like we said, when you were recapping this bit of the scene, you didn't go, he goes over to the other contestants. You said he goes over to the evil men on the other side of the room.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true.
I think that's part of the issue with the characterization is like, I think like, the Min-yu, I think is his name, like him.
Minsu.
Like Minsu, thank you. He doesn't deserve to be murdered here. The problem is he's pretty much the only person here that I'm like, oh yeah, we can't kill him. That kind of ruins the
yeah. Because I mean, we're supposed to have some sympathy for MG Coin, but he's done some pretty terrible stuff. Yeah.
And I maybe had more sympathy for him at the beginning of this episode than I do now.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that. So we get the opening title card. We go back to the Boat Boys.
Yep, Boat Boys.
My biggest pet peeve of the show, the voice comes over the CB radio, and it's the front man on a telephone.
You're right.
And he even goes, "Can you hear me over?" Like it makes the noise, but he is holding a fucking rotary phone. It doesn't make any sense. Fuck. You can't call a CB radio with and even if you could, maybe you can. Maybe I'm ignorant. But it wouldn't go over. It would just didn't work like a fucking phone. Holy shit. Oh, the waveform for that looks awful.
And you were so mad about there not being a camera on this island, and yet they can fucking call a CB radio and do the over.
But he tells him like, "Hey, you should give up while you can. You're gonna die." And he goes, "Well, I guess you better get ready to kill me," or something like that, which is pretty badass. We wake up the next morning and everybody's alive because Gihan didn't kill them. And we're getting ready for the next game.
Yeah.
Which will begin momentarily. Everybody looks pretty tired.
Yeah. I mean, they've been through a lot.
Yeah. We get the guard is sneaking, the female guard is sneaking around. She lands in the black dressed guy's his quarters. And I have another question, and this might be another thing where you say might get over it because there's a baby, but would he be showering right as the game's about to start? Like, isn't he in charge of running the game?
You know what? I think we have been shown multiple times that these people don't give a fuck about any of this. I can accept it. I can accept that this dude does not actually care about what's happening.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he is like at the point where he's just waiting for his chance to be front man. Like, I think he's got everybody else doing the important shit, and he just is waiting for his chance to be sipping drinks with the VIPs.
Right. She holds him at gunpoint, and he's like, "Hey, I thought you would understand me. We both lost somebody that we love." And she has him delete the files of that player, but he goes, "Hey, there's a paper file in the front man's office. I have access to it.
Yeah.
You don't. So, you can take me there. We can get in the elevator." And then we get to the reveal of the game that we're playing, and they call it Squid Game.
Yeah.
Which I like the name. I don't know that that's what they're doing.
No, it's not at all. However, I will say, I think that this might be my favorite final game of, like, compared to season 1 in the reality show.
Really?
Yeah. I like the idea behind this.
I like the look of it.
Appropriately fucked up and mind gamey.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. I like it. I like the look of it. The pillars, I like how worn they look, but they're still like colored, and fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're so worn. Like where did they pull these giant pillars from?
And I think part of what I might really like about this is that the final game in season 1, like the titular Squid game, there's kind of a lot to it, but it really boils down to these guys have to kill each other.
Yeah.
And I like that this one kind of doesn't even pretend that there's more to it. It's just like, yeah, just fuck it. You guys can just kill 3 people. And that would be good. You guys would still get a shit ton of money, and you guys would only have murdered 3 people. Or
right.
Yeah. I think that's interesting.
I agree. The guard and the black dress guard start fighting on the elevator and into the front man's room.
Yeah.
We keep cutting between the 2 scenes of them starting that in the final game. He gets the upper hand on her and starts drinking some scotch and smoking a cigar, and he stabs her, but then he has to answer his radio and to start the game. And as he's doing that, she crawls towards the elevator where the gun was left, and he forgets that. And he's like, I don't know why you're going to the elevator. Like, you can't use it without my mask. And then he realizes the gun's there and runs at her, and she shoots him midair, which I thought was kind of badass.
His jump was sick. That was a sick jump.
Yeah.
To stab. Like, the way the pose he hits midair is sick.
Yeah. And she guns him down. And then they explain the rules of the game. 3 rounds. You start on the square. You have 15 minutes. 1 person at least has to be pushed off, or you all die. You can push. Doesn't immediately end once 1 person's pushed off. It goes the whole 15 minutes, which adds to the tension of this game, because you could, eliminate the weakest person, and then you all have to stand there and go, do I trust any of these people? Right?
Yeah. Do I try to get rid of another one?
Immediately, Minsu is just drugged out of his mind.
I thought he was just gonna fucking kill himself on accident.
Yeah. He sees Thanos.
Yeah, I was happy to see Thanos again.
Yeah, me too. I like seeing Thanos. And then he turns into the other guy. It's sad that one of his things he was mad about, that Thanos couldn't remember his name, and now here I am not able to remember his name. But he's tweaking, and they realize it, and it causes them to go, instead of immediately trying to eliminate Gihan and the baby, they go, let's just get rid of this guy, because
this guy's fucking crazy. Let's just
nuts.
End it.
Like, let's just be done with him.
Yeah.
And so they start the game and they argue a bit, but MG Coin comes up with a plan. Because they get over there and they're like, wait, who's gonna push this guy off?
Yeah.
Like
wait a second.
Like I talked about in the last
with the
episode.
baby. Yeah.
Right? Because they're all tough guys until something has to be done.
Yeah.
And MG Coin comes up with a plan to use the pole and kind of push him off.
Yeah.
And he
Which is
Minsu
smart.
Minsu sees it as Semi holding out a hand to him.
Yeah.
In a very sad kind of moment for him, and he gets pushed off the edge and dies.
Yeah.
There was no way this guy was making it.
Oh no, it feels bad. I don't know that he's really developed enough for this to fully hit the way that it should, but I do think that the idea of that plot line had a lot of potential.
Yeah. Every time they cut to the VIPs, I groan very loudly.
Yep. Just take them out of the show. They don't need to be in this much of it.
Yep. So then the time goes up, I believe, but before that, we cut to our guard going through the front man's office, and she opens a door And interestingly enough, there is a wax figure of number 1 from the previous games.
That was weird.
Do you think there's anything to this?
I could not even begin to
because there's a mannequin that's wearing his suit and his mask, his owl mask. Yeah. But then there is just a straight up wax figure of him in this room.
Maybe it's just like, it's like a shrine or something.
And she kind of looks at it like, what the fuck?
What the fuck is this?
What the hell? And then she shoots her way through another door to find the archives, which we saw in the first season.
Yes, we saw Junho go there.
That was going to kind of clue us off that the number 1 when he didn't have a file, if you were paying attention.
Yeah.
A slick little bridge comes out of the square to go to the triangle. I liked that.
Yep. Terrifying.
They walk across the bridge. No one kills each other.
Yep.
But then the bridge retracts, and then they start figuring out how they're going to separate Gihan from the baby.
Yeah.
Because they know he's not going to give the baby up, and they start arguing with each other, actually, which is interesting because, the one guy,
some infighting begins to develop.
Right, the most aggressive guy. I don't remember his name. I don't think he even has a name, but he's 203. He's the most aggressive guy.
Yeah.
He's just saying, "Hey, Gihan's bluffing. Like, he'll give us the baby if we go grab it. If we go grab it, but he also doesn't want to be the one to grab it."
Yeah. No.
But that's when MG Coin says he has another plan. Meanwhile, our player gets his boat shot out by the 3 guards pursuing him, and they have legendary stormtrooper-esque aim.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He manages to take one of them out. He's like an untrained person. And
well, to be fair, he participated in the rebellion. He probably got some shots in there,
That's true. He runs out of bullets, but then as it's looking doom and gloom for him, that's later. Hold on. That's later.
Yeah.
Which, actually, I'll just finish that up because I don't think we go back to them after that.
And I really liked this part of the episode. I was very excited for something to finally happen.
Yeah, so our boat boys that are left shoot down the 2 guards, and they approach him, and that's where that ends in this episode. Our bad boys are playing rock, paper, scissors to see who's going to have to try and get the baby from Gihan. They take off their jackets to make like a rope to tie around his waist.
Yeah.
And they ask for him. Oh, that's right. He doesn't have the pole. MG Coin has the pole. But he's like asking for the baby, and he says they'll draw straws and they'll be fair.
Yeah.
And Gihan obviously doesn't believe them because why would he?
Yeah,
and
he's not stupid.
They're also lying. And Gihan, they don't know Gihan has a knife.
No. They also don't know that he's a super soldier.
Right. The Gi 1000.
Yeah.
But he goes into attack, and they start pulling him in, and Gihan pulls out his knife. And cuts the jacket.
Yeah.
And then points a knife at the guy, and the guy's like, "Please don't kill me. They forced me to do it." And then that's when MG Coin reveals his true side, that he is actually on Gihan's side because the baby is his.
He's like, on your left.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I'm with you. And the reveal that it's his baby, again, this is something where, like, this is a big... Oh, my God. Whoa, what? Oh, my God, there was so much suspense before we learned that he was the... Oh, we've known the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But the VIPs are surprised, Sean.
Yeah, and Gihan's surprised. Yeah. And then we get this flashback where he's like... Oh, in case the audience missed it, here's the scenes that hinted that he was actually. Oh wait, no, we actually just.
I'll
told
tell you,
the
I
audience.
actually liked that they show without Gihan saying anything, they showed why he would trust him.
Oh yeah.
And it's fair. That he saw him talking to her, like
yeah.
when they
why
were.
He buys the explanation.
Right.
Yeah,
because it actually does make some sense. You go, wait, I did see her talking to her, so
yeah.
Why would you do that otherwise? So our quick thinking bad boys start beating the shit out of one of their buddies, and they call it a lunchbox.
Yeah, fucking insane.
Have you heard this term used this way before?
No, but like I get what they're saying. I think the guy that says it is just crazy.
Well, but here's the thing: they cut to the VIP, and the crazy drunk VIP guy with the long hair goes, "A lunchbox! What a crazy idea!" So they're acting like this is like a normal expression that people say. I feel like, and I've never heard this in my life.
I read it more as him going, "Oh wow, that's crazy!" Like even the idea of we're gonna do this and call it a lunchbox. Like I don't think I read the scene exactly like you did.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. They break his leg. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And but Gihan does not like this.
Yeah.
Because he is a
good person.
A good person, and he does not like it. And they're trying to tell him, hey, MG Coin's going to trade on you, but then they attack, and they pair off in twos, and the number 100 kind of just stands around because that's what he does.
Yep.
And we get a fight with both guys. The aggressive guy, as I called him, gets the knife from Gihan, but then he gets it back. And Gihan starts fighting dirty a little bit, pulling hair.
Yeah.
And MG Coin gets knocked down near the edge. It's just an all-out brawl, but Gihan ends up stabbing the aggressive guy, and MG Coin ends up kicking the other guy off while keeping his pole, which I was sitting there going, let go of the pole. Brother is only holding on by the pole, let go of the pole, but he kicks him off and keeps the pole. But yeah, Gihan, you can tell he's upset he had to kill this guy, but... And then number 100, I got laughed at this, actually. Those dirty, rotten assholes! Like, he immediately turns on them.
Fucking that's what you do, you know? Like,
right.
We've still got our lunchbox. The three of us can make it, or the four of us can make it out of here. We're all good.
Well, and that's the thing. He kept, I think... in what would have been better writing... He multiple times says, hey, it's the four of us. I mean, of course, the five of us with the baby.
Yeah.
He says it twice, and you think that's going to lead to it being the reason why he ends up dying. But it's just
MG Coin is just overwhelmed with greed, I guess.
Right. He's just a greedy motherfucker, and he just continues to make the same decisions that he's made throughout the game and his life that caused Junhee to not want to be with him, right?
Yeah.
And he kills 100 by shoving him off the edge, and he mentions, like, hey, we'll get more money if you're dead, right?
Yep.
And Gihan's like, are you fucking kidding me? But as this is happening, the lunchbox crawls towards the edge, and he goes, I don't want to be your lunchbox.
Yeah, you know what? Based. Fuck you
good
guys.
for him. He went out on his own terms, you know?
Yeah,
because,
fuck you guys.
He was going to die either way, but he decides to take fate in his own hands and go, you guys aren't going to get an easy out now because of me.
Yeah.
And we end with MG Coin and Gihan staring each other down, where now there are 3 people left, and we have one more round to go.
Yep.
And one of them has to die. So it's either the baby, Gihan, or MG Coin. And MG Coin's the dad of the baby, and Gihan's not. But he's been the protector of the baby.
Yeah,
so,
Gihan might as well be the dad of the baby right now.
Right. It leaves us off on a very interesting dilemma and cliffhanger for the next and final episode of this season.
Yeah.
We kind of flew through that from a time
Yeah.
standpoint.
We did.
What do you got to say about it, Sean? What was the good? What was the bad?
I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say, to be honest with you. The best play here might be to splice this in with the other episode. But what I will say is that again, like I said earlier, I think the game is good. I think that the way that they shoot the game is good. At this point, I think I was kind of letting go of any sort of grounded reality and was starting to like, this is a fun little cartoonish group of like villains. MG Coin continued to frustrate me to no fucking end. Yeah. There was a moment where he's like, get out of the way, where I was like, okay, maybe this can work out, but of course he has to fucking ruin everything, I don't know. At this point, a lot of how I felt in this episode was like, all right, let's see how it ends, I guess.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at too. I'm excited to watch the last episode just to see where we go with it.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned that I'm not going to get the answers I want. Like the stuff that's really interesting to me isn't very like I want to. And maybe we get this in the spin-off Inho series, right? But like, yeah. I want to know more about how he got where he is. I want to know more. I guess that's the big one. I want to see how the whole boat situation, now that those two storylines have kind of combined, how that wraps up. But I want to see how they handle this dilemma. I think they have poised us with an interesting dilemma on how they're going to handle this. Unfortunately...
So, I do want to ask you, like, as this is our last moment before the end, what is your theory? How is this going to resolve?
Based on context clues that you and I have discussed, where we don't think people really like this.
Yeah.
I think Gihan is going to sacrifice himself.
I am in the same boat.
To give the baby its father, which I think is the wrong call.
Yep.
Because this
She didn't want him to be the father?
No, I don't think, and I don't think he will be an effective father. No. And I think he's a bit of a psychopath at this point. I think he's in an interesting way, and that I just kind of thought about it, he's kind of the shadow of Gihan in this way, where he was presumably a pretty upstanding guy before this and let the games corrupt him wholly. Where Gihan, while he has gotten his hands dirty, like MG Coin to me, if the baby wasn't his, would have just been one of those other guys.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That was being like, kill the baby. He's not trying to save the baby.
What he fucking did in hide and seek.
Right. He's not trying to save the baby because it's a baby. He's trying to save the baby because it's his baby.
Yeah. And I think he sees some sort of redemption for himself in that.
Right. And I think he's just let himself become too far gone. So I don't think he should be the father, or not that I believe Gihan has been a great father either, but he's not murdering people, well, he is, but
do we think that this show ends with any sort of satisfying the villains get what they deserve?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna like get a Uzi and just shoot up all the VIPs. That would be satisfying.
No. Yeah.
I want to hear the poor voice acting turn to like blood curdling screams as they all get murdered. That's what I want to hear.
So I guess then is this kind of a Last of Us Part 2 situation where we're going to come out of this at the end and it's going to have been these characters went on this journey for essentially no reason. Like they're just worse off at the end than when they started.
I I don't know if that's entirely true.
Not even that I would say that would be a bad thing. For like famously, that works for me in The Last of Us Part 2. But that's kind of what that game is about, you know.
I don't think this is over.
Okay.
Okay. The cynical part of me is saying this American Squid Game is actually like a stealth sequel.
Okay. And, maybe.
I think what has happened is the creator said, "Yeah, I'll do another season or 2 seasons or whatever. I'll shoot them at the same time, and then you guys can do whatever you want with Squid Game."
Yeah.
And so I think he's gonna be done with it, and they're gonna let David Fincher or whoever.
Yeah. So
continue.
Gihan's story is over, but we're not done with the broader story of the Squid Game.
Yeah, I think they're gonna make the American one. I think there's gonna be a Frontman spinoff, like a prequel series, because that talks about his time in the games. It almost Hunger Games-esque. Where
my other question, can you do that after this, or has the wind been taken out of the sails, so to speak, on a potential, like, do we know too much now? Like, I don't think that they satisfyingly explored his time, but did they do it just enough that a lot of the mystery is gone? A lot of the mystery is gone.
No, I think you could still do something cool with it. But I'm not saying it's a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not saying that it would be good. I'm just saying I think that's where we're headed. I think while you could make a season 2 and 3 and, not necessarily go against everything the series is about, I think we're going to hit a corner where this is exactly everything the series is against,
Yeah.
And I think the creator's going to wash his hands of it and let him do whatever and collect the checks,
And you know what? Good for him.
Yeah, I'm not mad at him for it.
Yeah.
I'd take a paycheck from this,
Yeah, dude. And, he did get his story. He got season 1.
Yeah, he was trying to get this made for a long time, and he did, and sometimes the fucking monkey paw curls,
Yeah.
Sometimes
but,
finger
I guess,
curls.
I guess my point being more that you can watch season 1 as its own thing.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And that story works on its own, and even if you don't necessarily love where it goes like I don't, you still always have that first season.
You know what the telltale sign is that this isn't what he wanted to make?
What?
It's that he ended season 1 with Gihan dyeing his hair red.
Yeah.
And then when we come back, it's immediately black again. You know what I mean? Like, he had something in mind for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't just like, oh, this is like a fun thing. Like, there was some, like, and I don't think it was going to be a huge part of it, but, like, that's how the story changed, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see how it ends up, guys. We're like Sean said last episode, we are not, like, totally out on this.
Yeah, no. I mean,
we're just disappointed in the quality of season 3 in particular.
We're gonna finish season 3. We'll be here for the reality show. I at least am totally willing to do the David Fincher show.
Yeah, no, I'm not out on doing any of it. I just it sucks that I was pretty into season 2. And then they did the whole, like, oh, this is definitely a different season, but really it's just the midway point through a season.
Yeah.
That kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. And then this is, while I've enjoyed watching it, it's not the quality that I want it to be, at least before episode 6. So we'll see what episode 6 brings.
And it absolutely does not stand on its own. You could not watch and honestly, I wonder if I would be enjoying the season more if it was flowing naturally from season 2. I wonder how much that gap has affected me.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is I mean, when we've talked about what we've talked about already with these episodes, like Keys and Knives, we were like, wow, this is not a very interesting episode of television. And that's because it was supposed to be the come down episode from this heightened episode.
Yeah.
And it's very
It's
clear.
been 7 months since then, you know?
Right. And maybe we should have watched it again before, but then if that's the case, let us watch it all at once. Like, you know, like I don't.
Yeah.
Other than
Be
trying
more
to
clear
create,
that this is season 2B, you know?
right. Other than trying to create another cultural moment, quote unquote, I don't understand. This makes no sense narratively or any of it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's gonna do it for this shorter episode. I promise you, next episode we will have a lot to say on.
Oh, I'm sure.
Episode 6 and the season as a whole and all that. So, look forward to that. But until then, Sean, I'm ready to end this episode.
I am also ready to end this episode.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.